she just left. Let's share screen share. Okay. Desktop one. Okay. Can you see my screen now?
Yes,
Maybe.
I could see
Okay. Okay. I have never made a presentation in Canva, but I did this time. I don't know why. Okay, there's this. Let's just do present. Okay, I have not hosted like a Zoom meeting since undergrad, so this should be fine. But yeah, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Bella. For those of you who do, it might be probably because my TikTok. So I am a second year PA student in Wisconsin. I'm actually at a university that's being shut down. So it's Concordia, so it doesn't really matter for you guys, but they're finishing after my class. I went to La Crosse in undergrad, which I'm sure you wouldn't know because I forget you guys are from Arizona, but I actually didn't minor in anything. We just had an option of doing like an individualized minor. So I just was able to like choose classes that helped towards prereqs, which is really nice. Obviously, I majored in biology, like this says, and then timeline, I just did like the typical 4 years, applied my senior year. So I knew I was always wanted to take a gap year. I was like, there's no way I'm going straight into it. So I applied as a senior, got accepted like in the fall, and then started the spring. So like exactly a year after ending undergrad, because I know some PA schools don't always start in spring, so it might be different for other people. Um, so I'm currently in my second year of PA school, and I'm graduating in this upcoming July. My dog is trying to bring a hanger in here. Um, so like I feel like questions are more beneficial because when I was in club, I always just wanted to ask my questions. So I just kind of made a short presentation for you guys. That's kind of like the overview for it. So, patient care experience to me is most important. So, I started working the summer after freshman year. So, I started looking like in spring of undergrad and applied to places in my hometown. So, I was still living at my parents' house in the summers and winters and then went to college, obviously, during the semesters. And I did not work. I just focused on grades, volunteering, and like being in club like you guys. So I was just a resident aide that took no other training. Like they trained you for CBRF, but that's all I did. So I worked there for like a couple years, and then my second job was a direct support professional, so like in a basically group home. And I wouldn't recommend this now looking back. I have a feeling that maybe I was declined by a lot of universities because maybe they didn't count this, but I never asked and I got accepted, so I didn't care. But it technically does count if you look at the CASPA definition, but I personally do feel like a lot of places might not look down on it, but don't value it as high, which sucks because working with kids with special needs or any type of behavioral disorder, I think is really important. But I started working at this position during my junior year of college in the semester, and it was awful. Like it was literally so hard to work and do grades, obviously, like you all know. So whoever's working during the semester, like congrats to you. I quit. Like I stopped after that. So that was like no training. I got that on the job. And then if you do follow my TikTok, I'm very vocal about medical assistant. I found this online and I thought it was a scam. And I was like, what do I do? Am I echoing? Okay, good. So I thought this was a scam when I first found it. The account or like platform I used was Advanced eClinical Training. So I genuinely recommend this to anyone, like any of you guys who are like, I need patient care experience. I would recommend this. It's 8 weeks online. It is kind of expensive, but it was so easy, especially if you're in like undergrad for pre-PA, like you're smart. So it was easy. And it's just the fastest route to get a really good patient care job because medical assistant is always like very highly valued. So this was not a lot of my hours. So I didn't even start this until after I applied on CASPA, but I still put it on my CASPA and like said, hey, I'm getting my medical assistant. And then throughout the summer, I updated it as I finished the course and as I started working. Because by the time when I started working, I still hadn't heard back from universities. So it still kind of counted. And it to me was better experience for your interviews. Um, so I'm kind of going fast for these, but you guys can ask me questions. So like I think I'm being dramatic when I say 3,000 hours. I would say I did have though like 2,800 by the time I applied, and then as I kept working, it went up. But like a lot of people don't think you can get that many just by working in the summers, but I definitely think you can. Some people are just, I don't know, negative Nellies. So in terms of like other stats, because I feel like I always ask this, I did like your classic bingo, soup kitchens. I did obviously, well, I don't know if you know, I did a lot of special needs events because I loved those. And then the club I was really involved with was this pre-PA club. So I did a lot of my volunteering through them. And then all of my other stuff, there's a lot of specifics that go into when I did all of these, but from like the day I started undergrad, I just was like, let me do this, that, this, like was going to all these meetings trying to figure out stuff I could get involved in. So I would never have gotten like the incoming freshman orientation thing if I wasn't so involved in other stuff. So recommendations from me would be just be super involved as much as you can. Even if it's like at little booths on your university, like it all just helps you get the bigger jobs. The receptionist at the two free health clinics, that to me, I think is a really big deal. So that's something I always tell people to do is find a free health clinic. Like, I don't know, just email them. I can go into specifics on that, but definitely recommend any type of free health clinic. And then I was free PA club president. That was like my biggest leadership hours. In terms of hours, because I feel like you guys are going to ask, I would have to pull up my thing. Leadership was like probably 400 or 500 just because of the pre-PA club was so much. Volunteering was probably just like 100 or 200, 150 maybe. Healthcare was a lot because my pharmacy tech position, because that does not count for patient care hours. What else? Shadowing, I didn't even care. I personally did not share about shadowing. People worry about this. I do think you do need to like focus on it, but it's not something that you should be like super stressed out about. I would just make sure to try and get 32 because some universities I applied to required 32. And then obviously, like if you can get in your dean's like not your, if there's like an honor society, try and do that just to put it on there. And then teaching, I really would recommend like doing anatomy lab, TAing, or tutoring if you can. I loved OChem, but I was not the best tutor, but I still did it. So I feel like most people who do these type of talks are always like so uptight and smart. And I'm not that I'm not, but I am not gonna lie to you and say I knew how to teach everyone OChem. Like I did OChem tutoring, but I wasn't like a very like I'm trying to think of the word. You just try and do all these things even if you're not super good at that is what I'm trying to say. Like you don't have to be great at everything. You just try your best. I'm getting so off topic. So then in terms of like applying, I started my personal statement early, like a year. I don't think I wrote on one. I started it like a year before I started. So like junior year, I thought about it, but I didn't even have my idea. So like once you have your idea, then you can kind of start writing it. I would just recommend not waiting. Like I have people reaching out to me right now for this cycle, which is fine. I just feel like the stress is really high. So I'd recommend early. I wouldn't recommend like your parents looking at it. Like some people will be like, yeah, like my mom read it. And I'm like, okay, but like, does she know what you need for PA school? So anyone honestly that went to PA school like above you or anyone in the club, I would say that's had experience with applying or anyone that you knew that was accepted, I would ask them just because then their personal statement doesn't suck and they might have some idea. So that's what I did. I had someone who was accepted read mine and she directed me in like the idea of this is what not to do and this is what to do. So that's just that. Definitely keep in touch with your professors. I like was just constantly emailing them throughout all 4 years of undergrad. And like obviously the ones that you don't love, don't email them, but the ones that you have like semi good grades in, like the people that I asked for usually I had A's in, I would never ask like they were just or nicer too. So I always sat in the front row and I always asked questions and I was always the annoying one in class. But I feel like you have to do that in order to stick out to them, in order for you to let a little letter of rec. So I know it kind of sucks to sit in the front, but I definitely recommend it. Be annoying, you go to office hours. And then someone asked me if you open a CASPA account, does it count you as a reapplicant? And I never thought about that. I don't think it does. I did it. I think everyone in the world opens it early. So I don't think that's true. And I've never been asked that, like when I applied, if I was a reapplicant, because I wasn't. But I would recommend opening it early to go through and look at everything. And then some people will be like, oh, it doesn't matter when you apply, but definitely apply as soon as you can. But know that you cannot apply any sooner than after you get your transcripts. Like some people will be like, oh my God, it opens in April. Like you can't even apply because you need your LOR. So it's like, I'm I'm rushing you, but I'm not. I just would not wait till fall if I were you. I know people still get in by applying in fall, but I've definitely had admissions like they tell you, we see these earlier applicants, like they're going to be my first approval. So it's just kind of how it is. I'm kind of rambling. You can start your descriptions early once you like know what CASPA wants. And if you look on my page or if like you just look up the CASPA descriptions, like you should be able to see what they want. That's more of down the line because I don't know if is this an all like all grades or is this like an upperclassman or lowerclassman video?
This is everyone, so
Okay.
all grades.
Okay. Sorry, I'm like so rambling. I don't like stressing people out. So in terms of starting PA school, so like if some of you guys are at this point or you're applying and like thinking about this, definitely quit your healthcare job the second you get accepted because there's no point. Some people told me that they do need to keep working, like the program made them, but that's weird. I wouldn't. Definitely take like a month off and just do whatever you want, take a trip. Um, Definitely one thing I think that's beneficial even now for anyone is like being very organized on your computer. So when it comes to like actually starting PA school though, folders for like your passport, your license, your health insurance card, like all of the pictures on your computer is super helpful. All of your vaccines, you would think they would have this, but sometimes they want you to upload it. Definitely a Costco membership. That has like saved me a lot. Definitely a budget. I can talk like if people have questions about that stuff. And then once you're accepted, worry about FAFSA. Don't even worry about that right now. And then, oh yeah, if you are starting PA school, remember everyone's kind of uptight and fake when it comes to starting, just because they're all like super nervous about how they're going to come off. Like everyone is just trying to be their best person. So like you just kind of want to keep your guard up because you have to spend so long with these people. So you want to make the best friends. So I wanted, these are like the last ones before you guys have any questions. I have other stuff I can talk about, but I just wanted to put like my schedule in there. So this was my first summer. Um, this was not too bad at all. Like literally, this was easy. I'm just trying to think. I would say anatomy lab was the worst because I was stressed about it because I didn't see cadaver lab in undergrad. I go to a Lutheran school, so we had chapel time, which was kind of nice during the fall because it was every day. But yeah, this was just my structure for summer. I don't have one for fall and spring, but that was literally your big chunk of PA school is like 7 a.m. to 5. So I couldn't find the picture for that. But after you get through your easy summer term, then you go to like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Like I feel like I had 9 classes at least of just back to back to back to back. Then you have other obligations. So fall and spring suck. You get through it, but they kind of suck. And then like this was my summer too. So it's like easy and then very, very tough. And then like summer two before clinical year. That's when you just kind of get into your more like clinical medicine aspects of things. And like the other kind of random courses, even though pediatrics is important. But that's just for a look of what our schedule looked like. That was a slide I should have edited. But like that was really quick. Where am I? I just would rather answer questions or talk about certain topics if people have them because there's so much I could talk about. So if anyone wants to like put them in the chat or oh, there is a chat. Beautiful. Okay. So I'll just like go from the top. Did you ever consider working in a different medical profession besides PA? So when I started undergrad, I think I entered in as PT, and then the first week I heard about PA, and I was like, oh, the salary is great, the year is great, I'll just do that. So not really, but there are times that I do sometimes wish I went to med school, just because I think you get looked down a lot as a PA in some aspects, and then some people love PA. So sometimes I do wish I did just because, I feel like most people do want to be a doctor, and then they're like, no, that's 10 years of school. But I don't regret it. It's not something I regret. I just sometimes wonder, like, could I have made it through now being in a real clinical setting? But PA was kind of always what I wanted to do. Is it better to work consistently at one doctor's office, or is it Are you so for the is it better to work consistently at one office? Is that for like patient care jobs? I'm assuming. Um, oh, I love all these questions. Thank you. I'm going to assume that was your question. I think that was Haley. I'm going to assume that is. So I don't really think it matters. I think people overthink when it comes to patient care experience, like moving around to different things. I don't think that matters. I don't think whatever specialty in matters at all. I think honestly, just as long as your patient care job is good, that's the most important thing. Switching jobs doesn't matter, in my opinion. What was the program? Okay, the medical mission trip I did through Vita Volunteer. I should probably like write these. I can always send her an email of these answers. I did it through Vita Volunteer, and I think that was expensive. It was like 2,500, but I think waited to do it, so I saved up. But I really liked it. It was really well organized. They did lose my bags, but that's not their fault. That was obviously the airports. What exactly did you write LOR? What exactly? Oh, I should have put this in my list. So I had an English professor, which just sounds super weird, but she nominated me for like an English award, so I felt like that was good. I had a Chem professor from like sophomore year of undergrad, so like that was a couple years out. Both of those were sophomore. I had a PA, so I would recommend a PA. I literally had a PA through someone else I knew who said wrote her a letter, and I just messaged her and I was like, "Hey, I really need a letter of rec. Like, can we chat?" Like, I didn't say that, but she knew why she was writing it for me. So if you're struggling to get like a PA, if you have any connection to a young PA, they're definitely willing to write you a letter of rec because that's what we did. We met one time on Zoom. Like, if I were to do a mentor meeting for you, I would write you a letter of rec, but I can't obviously, it's not a PA yet. But I had that, the PA, the two professors, and then I had a nursing home like nurse supervisor. She was like my boss. That was from like a couple years back. And then I had, okay, I feel like I'm not supposed to say this, but it's 2 years out. I think I had my aunt who's a doctor write me a letter of rec. You're not supposed to have family write you a letter, but we had her last name, so I just did it. Oh my God, you guys don't report me. Um, so honestly, any doctor you can find, any PA, like literally, if you explain the situation, they will write you. But for like professors, I don't think you need to like worry that they saw you do something clinical. Like the two professors I have loved me. I spent so much time with them. I think that's more important than it being like an OChem professor or a genetics or biology. Did you shadow just a PA or physician? I never shadowed a doctor or anything, just PA. I get this question a lot on TikTok. Don't waste your time shadowing other professions. For you, yes, shadow, like if you're not sure, but it does not help you to have other shadowing on your resume. You might think, oh, it shows that I'm going through the different professions, but they don't care. Like when I talk about admissions, like they are just looking at your paper and they're like, okay, they shadowed, good job. They're not like, oh, you shadowed ortho, you shadowed cardio. Like it's not like that. And you wouldn't know that as someone in undergrad, but doesn't matter as long as it's a PA. I talk really fast. I'm sorry. Pushing through undergrad. I'm feeling very overwhelmed and would love some words of wisdom. Yes. I feel like I'm pretty good at that with words of wisdom for undergrad because I'm very non-traditional in my advice. I think that if you focus on patient care and like keeping your grade, obviously, if you have some lower grades, that's fine. But I genuinely think like who you are as a person is way more important than your overall everything when it comes to applying to PA school. I had advisors tell me I wouldn't get in, which is so funny now. Like I had people who tell me like you probably won't. Why are you doing this? I actually like my freshman year applied for every position on the club and then got none of them, and it was so embarrassing. But it's just like I think we overthink PA school, and really what it comes down to is like such basics medicine. Like they want you to have good healthcare experience and like semi good GPA, but I think in terms of getting through undergrad, I would take it by semester. Like every semester, I would actually buy myself clothes after each exam. So like every time I did good, I would buy myself like leggings. But I'm like trying to think of better words. I think as long as you know that so many of the people that you see on social media and the internet in general are just overplaying like the hype of what you do need to get accepted, I think that's wrong. I think who you are as a person, like your essay and everything else is more important, which then if you think that, then you'll do better in your classes. If you're feeling overwhelmed, I loved my tutors. I don't know about your school's tutors, but my tutors were really, really good. So I'll come back in that question. So the program that I got my medical assistant license through was called Advanced eClinical Training. Yeah, advancedeClinicaltraining.org. So my TikTok is Bella the PAS, since none of you have cameras if you want to stalk me. I have a link in my bio for that, and I just posted a video about it, like an in-depth 4-minute video. And yeah, it was kind of expensive, but it was so worth it. It looks kind of fake. It does, the website does, but it's not, I promise. Yeah, so the license, it takes 8 weeks to do the course. How does the exam work? So it's 8 weeks to do the course, and then once you finish, you can sign up for the actual medical assistant exam, which is through the NHA, so the National Healthcare Association. And so once you finish the course, you get like a certificate, and then you submit that to the exam website and make an account, and then you can sign up for a day. And you have to pay, of course, like $200, which isn't included. And then you just take the exam and then you pass or you don't pass. And I applied for jobs before I even finished. So I applied like probably by week 6 of my MA course. And then once I passed, I like let the job know that I passed, and told them I haven't taken the class yet. Um, what other recommendations do you have for obtaining patient care? So in terms of really, really good patient care, I wish I got my EMT. I know in Wisconsin, we have a lot of community colleges that offer them. So at one point, I was going to do like a course during the semester at a community college on top of my undergrad courses to get my EMT. That sounded awful at the time. So I didn't. I wish that I did just because EMT like is so great. Like if you were to ask me, Bella, what is the best thing? I would probably say EMT or ER tech. So my other advice would then be to get your CNA, which I never wanted to get my CNA because I didn't want to be a nurse for a reason. The only reason I would get it is because you can work in the ER as a CNA, and then the ER is so highly respected, like on top of EMT. So that would probably be the second route I would recommend is CNA and then apply to a hospital and work in the ER. But like if you just need hours, like you're not worrying about what level, I would just literally resident aid, like just most places should take it. No, hospitals would hire PCA, so patient care assistant or patient care techs. I have no idea how it is in Arizona, but I'm like talking so fast. I'm so sorry. Um, if 12 years of patient, okay. If 12 years of patient care experience, oh, you have, how important would you say volunteering hours are? It's hard to answer the questions of like, how do you value everything? I would definitely try and get volunteering hours regularly. Like, I wouldn't say to me it's about the number of hours. It's more about like, hey, I did this once a week for a semester. And even if that's 12 hours, it's regular, it's through a good program. And if you can talk about it in your essay or like in the description, I think that's more important than like worrying about getting this many and that many hours. Like having a regular volunteering experience, I think is the main point of it. But if you have 12 years of patient care experience, depending on what you did, I don't think it really matters that much. I think you're already pretty gold depending on what you do. Obviously, that's only my opinion. What is your view on medical scribe? Yeah, so I don't recommend it because of that. One of my best friends at PA school actually was one, but they only counted it for half of her hours. So yeah, my opinion is to not do it just because of the fact that some schools don't require it. And like, I do think it's really, really good because of how much you learn. So if you already have it, don't worry about it. But then I just feel like you're stressed when it comes to applying because then you have to like think about the hours and everything. But if you already have it, it's really, really good experience no matter what the PA school says. So I wouldn't worry about it like, oh, I have it. Are they going to look down on me? No, as long as you meet the requirements, that's like the biggest thing. Um, what did a typical day look like for you and what tips do you have for balancing school and your personal life? I'm assuming that question is about PA school. Oh God. It's actually not bad. Oh God, tips for balancing school. So for me, and I kind of did this in undergrad, I would get like one of those big calendars, like the desktop ones, and then I would take a different color and do every single class in PA school. And I'd write down every single assignment, whether it was like just a reading, like a test, like I would write down everything. And then I would just literally take it week by week. So in terms of like balancing tips, like that helped me a lot because it was like I could visually see it. I definitely did miss like one assignment, I think. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on? But in terms of balancing everything, like making sure you take breaks. So then I would do that for assignments and then I would make study schedules. So if you haven't watched my TikTok, study schedules are my number one tip in the world. So I would write down, I think my iPad said, I would write down like every single day what I was going to study specifically, like exactly what unit, what topic, and for how long. But then not for how long, I wouldn't study past once I got the studying done, I wouldn't keep going. Like, because it's not on time to me. To me, it's like I understand it. I don't need to keep going. So I would take days like there were days like where I did not study, like for 3 days. Like I'm on day three of this rotation and I haven't even really studied, and it's day three. Um, you do not have to be studying every single day, all day for sure. I think if you go into PA school with that mindset, you aren't going to be like overwhelmed and super stressed out. Like if you take scheduled breaks, scheduled days off, usually Fridays were like my days off because like by that time you're done. You're like, come on, it's Friday. Um, so I just like think going in with that mindset was a lot better and definitely still doing things like, oh God, I always feel so funny saying it now, but I went out all the time, like, because I'm closer to Milwaukee, but I'm in the Milwaukee area and we were out like every other weekend. We were out sometimes on exam weekends. Like you need to have those nights, whatever it is you might be doing in order to like get your studying done. Um, yeah, that one kind of went off topic. Even through the years, Even through this year's application, you can't submit it. Okay, yeah. So this person says, even though the application system opens on April 24th, you cannot submit it until you get your official transcript. So you do not have to graduate, obviously, to apply because you can apply as a junior, but you do, like, technically, CASPA opens, you could apply, I guess. But number one, you need your LORs, which won't be submitted by the first day. Number two, though, if you didn't wait for your official transcript, none of those grades or courses from that semester would count. So then you would most likely be missing a requirement. So your question is, you technically cannot apply until your official transcripts is uploaded, is yes, you have to wait until that official transcript, but you don't have to wait until you graduate if you're applying as a junior. But yeah, if you're a senior and you're graduating, or no matter what, you just wait until you're officially graduated to apply. Okay. Okay. The medical assistant patient care experience that I did. So yeah, the course, all over my videos. So once I took the test, I applied. A lot of places did deny me. I think probably because I had no experience, but I like the one job that did take me. They were like, "Yep, that's fine." Like they knew they would have to train me on the job, and I worked in general surgery, so I was like at an outpatient. No, I think I was at the hospital, but it was outpatient medicine. A medical assistant, you can do so many different things. Like you can literally work like almost everywhere. It's so vital to like all of healthcare, and you usually are rooming patients for PAs and for doctors. So I think medical assistant, if like you're not aware of it or you are a freshman or sophomore, is like a super good route to go. Trying to think of like what else about medical assistant. Yeah, I have a lot of videos on it. I feel like I've talked about it a lot if you want to go watch those. Um, what is the latest? What is the latest that, oh, what, okay, so this person says, what is the latest that you suggest submitting your CASPA application to maximize PC? Okay, but still have a chance of getting in. So it depends on like your hours and the requirements. If you're already at the requirements, say in May when you would submit to be early, I mean, here's the thing. Here's what you can do. I would apply right away, and then what you can do is update your hours. I don't think people know that. And technically, like they'll see your hours being updated. It is kind of confusing, but say the admissions is regular, technically, then you can wait to apply. So if you are worried about your hours being at the cutoff or you want to maximize your patient care hours, apply to all of the rolling. I would still do it as soon as possible and then just wait for your regular admission ones and then update your CASPA, which will update for your rolling, and then just wait and submit your regular, but at least early enough for it all to be submitted. Because I don't know if some of you might not be aware, but if you wait too close to the deadline, it might not count. So you have to submit. I would submit at least like 4 weeks prior to the deadline, I think. Two at the minimum, but I would try at least four. Okay, how do most people pay for living expenses while in PA school? So, unfortunately, with Trump, I have no idea what's happening with loans right now. I do know some people are getting like pauses on their loans. So if we just ignore that, you live off of loans. So you can get 20,000 through FAFSA, like you get FAFSA in undergrad. I don't know how much it is, I forgot. You get 20,000 awarded through FAFSA, and then the rest has to come from a private loan. So what will happen is when you, let's say you choose Arizona University, ASU, Arizona, I don't know if they have a program. So like, let's say you choose them, they'll send you an email and be like, great, like here's your loan offer. So they'll offer you, let's just say 100,000 to make it easy. What you have to do is then apply for specific loans. So you'd apply for FAFSA and then apply for a second loan. Most people, like at my university, I think 30, all of us, did it through the federal government for that second one. It's called the Grad Plus loan. I think that's what majority of PA students in the country do. So you do FAFSA and then you do a Grad Plus loan, and like together they just combine and give you the total amount of money you need to go to school. So essentially, then once you get all the paperwork done, they deposit money into your account. Every program is different, but I get mine twice a year. So I actually have a ton of videos about this too on my feed. My school's 88,000. I don't have 88,000 to pay. So when it came to like the first couple months, for some reason I didn't get my money yet. So I had to borrow from my parents. And then we literally got a lump sum of like 15,000 put in our account. So you usually just get a lump sum. So then you have to budget it throughout the rest of the year. So you live off of loans, in short. There is one person actually I know that I asked, and she's like, I'm not taking loans. And I was like, wow, okay, I'm different than you, which is fine. But yeah, you live off of loans. You definitely cannot afford to work. There are some people I see on the internet that work, which I don't know how. But I personally bartend for fun money. And then I did, what is it called? Proxy Picks. So if any of you guys want to write that down, it's called Proxy Picks. It's an app. And I think you have to pay like $8 for a background check, but you take pictures for like real estate, houses, not real estate, like houses like that are loans, and you literally just submit pictures. So I did that and made like 1,000 over a course of a year. And then it just goes straight to your like wallet, and then you can download it to your bank account. So that was also fun money. And then I actually downloaded Rover, found one client on Rover, and then now she just texts me, so she doesn't pay me on Rover anymore because Rover kind of scams you. So that's how I made my fun money. I don't think there's anything else that I did. But usually, so I think for all PA schools, you get a loan offer and then you choose what loans to use, but you can use FAFSA and then a private loan. But most people for their private loan do a Grad Plus loan. But you could do like Chase, like you could literally go to Chase and do it, but usually they're just more expensive. But I still literally like go out and do things all the time. Like what did I just buy? Like this is just stupid, but like I literally get my lips done, like I get my hair done. Like you can still live well in PA school, but then there's obviously people who are like, no, I'm not spending anything. I'm super whatever. It's just however you want to be, you can do whatever. I like to be honest. So, did you just apply to one PA school or did you have multiple? So I applied to 13, I believe. I actually applied to some in Arizona. I think Creighton, isn't that in Arizona? Yeah, they denied me. How rude. I applied to not even all of Wisconsin schools, none in Illinois, a few in Minnesota, and then some random out of state. I would recommend applying to as many as possible. Like I feel bad when people apply to 20 and don't get in because then I feel really bad. But on it, like money, like if money is a factor, obviously you can't apply to as many, but I would recommend because it's literally just statistics, it's going to increase your chances. So I don't know how people only apply to a few. Like I'm not that smart for that. So some people do though and get in. So it's really up to you, but I recommend applying to a lot. Most people do, I would say, apply to at least 10. Like I feel like that's like a normal range is like 10. But some people apply to 20. Like I've had people reach out and say they've applied to 20, 22, which I mean, there's nothing that can stop you from it. Can you explain more about the work you did this summer after your freshman year? Okay, so yeah, resident aid. So yeah, during my freshman year, I was looking for jobs to work when I got home from college. And most nursing homes, like official nursing homes, have CNAs. So the certified like CNA license. But if you want to work at a assisted living facility, or most assisted living facilities have what we call resident aides. They still hire CNAs, but they hire resident aides, which you do the same, like you literally do the exact same thing. You just don't need your license because it's different regulations. So I'm trying to think of another name for it. I feel like resident aide is the name. Yeah, that was like pretty easy. Like they're usually willing to take people, but I think every nursing home and assisted living facility has their issues, like no matter where you go. So it's going to suck either way, honestly. Like if you are a freshman or you're like completely new to patient care, you have to like start at the bottom and then get up to medical assistant. Like you don't have to, but that's just how most people go. So you have to do your diligence with the elderly. But I didn't love that. It was like usually like 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., which was awful. Trying to like, okay, I have two questions. No, the same question. Do you have any tips for writing a personal statement? So I do have a couple of videos on this. I would say it's hard to write it until you have like your moment. Like I had a moment and I was like, this is what I'm gonna talk about. So I would say like it's hard to just sit down and be like, let me write a personal statement. Like you need to think and then be like, oh wait, one day it'll just come. So something like in terms of theme that I think I just posted a video on this, theme is super important to me at least because you could have a really good essay because I do essay editing, but if your theme isn't there or you don't have something like pulling me in, I'm bored, honestly. And if you think about admissions reading hundreds of essays, like if not more, they read the same thing about you being a great empathizer. Like they read the same exact traits from everyone every single day. So when it comes to like how do you stand out and tips, I always say like a theme, something very captivating. And that's hard for a lot of us because like I feel like a lot of us are like we're lucky we go to college, like we have a lot of good things in life. But if you don't have something like if you have an experience that you can think about that is very like either dramatic, sad, whatever, definitely talk about it. And I always tell people to play on it. Play on it is what I say, which sounds kind of bad when you think about it, but or it sounds bad for me to tell you that, but definitely use a sad story, a traumatic story, like something that's going to pull someone in. Because even if you have a really good written essay, it doesn't matter because they're going to be like, well, it's kind of boring. So that would probably be my biggest tip would be like try and think of an overarching theme before you write it, but you can always write it and then think of a theme. Personally, I have a lot to say about personal statements. Okay, you said to apply to PA schools right away and not wait because they tend to review those applicants first. Okay. So yeah, if I don't know if you guys know, so rolling admissions, those universities, which it will say on their university website, they look at applications as they come in. So literally whoever's first, like they are the first to look at it and they're obviously going to get the yes or no. But for regular admissions, they literally wait until the deadline to look at applications. So for any of the rolling, obviously, yes, apply as soon as possible. But if you do not have the minimum hours yet, then you obviously just can't. Like, I think a lot of there's times where I've seen people be like, yeah, I think I didn't get in because I didn't have the hours. I'm like, well, why'd you apply? Like, what? Why would you do that? Like, I don't think people realize like that's why I think for some universities I got denied from, my direct patient care might not have count or my behavioral home didn't count. So then maybe I just didn't meet the requirements and they just denied me. But they don't tell you, like, they don't tell you, hey, you're missing this. So yeah, if you're still working on the hours, that's fine. You just have to wait, which is fine. You can apply to all regular if you want, but I would say a lot of them are rolling. I talk really fast. Okay, what is your biggest tip for getting over procrastination? Oh God, I feel like I think that's a girl that asked that, which makes me happy because I feel like that's a guy problem. So I was not a procrastinator, so I don't know like tip wise. I would say the like writing, I wish I had like a copy of my planners in undergrad. Doing so like sometimes the dollar store literally has those really small planners, like they're literally like this big. So what I would do is the same things I'm doing now on my big calendars, writing on all the assignments and then just like starting them right away. Like the second that you get an assignment, like I'm trying to think. Tips for procrastinating. Lists. I mean, like, I don't know. It's always hard to know if because I don't know what you're originally doing. But like lists are my best friend. Like I'm like literally writing like thousands of lists every single day. Like need to get this done by this time. Like instead of just like I need to do this by this end of the week, like I'm like this day needs this day needs that. Yeah, I don't know. That's not the best tip. But I would say like the planner tip to visualize the dates because yes, Google Calendar is great, but for me, having it written out in front of me was easier to like, I don't know, put it together. Do you recommend gap years? Some people say not to. Okay, whoever said that to you, I hope no one in this chat thinks that you shouldn't or isn't right in the head because there's no inkling that would ever make anything bad to any admissions. Like no one what am I trying to say? No one looks bad on gap years ever at all. Like, no matter what you're doing it, if you're not even working in patient care, like, there's no reason that it hurts you at all. Not once. So, in undergrad, obviously, I was really involved with pre PA club, but I've talked to my university, one other one in Wisconsin, and then my undergrad university, and like, they never ever said how bad it was because people ask that in undergrad all the time. If anything, it's better because we have a couple of students who came straight from undergrad, and you can tell how immature they are, which doesn't not really like to the, no, they can tell. You can tell people who are younger versus those who are moms who have been working for years. So in terms of like maturity, professionalism, and just handling situations, personally, I feel like the older you are, the better, just because like, I don't know if that makes sense. But I actually do think that they look for older applicants. That's a personal thing. But I do know for a fact, like at least from people I've talked to, gap years are not a bad thing at all. It doesn't literally doesn't matter. It doesn't affect anything. Unless you took like 10 and then weren't in healthcare at all. Like if you took 10, but you'd probably be in healthcare, but that probably just stressed someone out. So I'm not even gonna ask that. Um, how do they confirm? Okay. How do they confirm your patient care hours? Do they reach out to your jobs? I actually have no idea. I've never asked this, and I feel like I should have, but I don't think they do. Like, I don't know. I actually genuinely personally, I think that they just believe what you write. Take that as you will. But I don't think that they actually like call and check everyone. Yeah, that's something I should ask. But I really, because okay, I'm not saying to lie, but I definitely think there are people who have like fibbed their hours a little bit, which I'm not telling you to do that. But if you like think you worked 45 and you put 55, like you're not going to be like murdered. Like it's not the end of the world. So don't look into it that much. But yeah, let's assume they call your job, but I don't think they do. I love saying things that are confusing people. Do you recommend applying if you meet all the qualifications but might not be competitive? Yeah, I always tell people to apply to places where you're way above the average, but honestly, like it's so hard to find because I did that and I still only got like 3 interviews, which it was good, but I would still apply even if you don't feel like you're competitive and it's somewhere like you really want. I would just do it. You never know, as long as like money isn't a huge thing. Do you have any that my dog is probably whining, so just ignore her. Do you have any idea what specialty you want to go into? And do you recommend living alone? So, in terms of living in PA school, I would never live with anyone. I think I would just hate it so much. I had friends, not good friends, but people I knew that lived with people, and like they never complained, but I could tell at times when they were frustrated, when they wanted alone time. I don't regret living alone at all. Me and my best friends like both lived alone, like all three of us had our own places. I don't know. I also lived alone during my gap year though. So for someone who's going from undergrad to PA school, maybe it's great to live with people because then you're not alone for the first time during PA school, which might be like lonely. But I was never lonely. You're always busy. You're always stressed out. So, and then in terms of specialty, I'm pretty sure I want to go into the ER, but then I also really like kids with disabilities, but that's not really a specialty. And I don't really like normal peds. So that's like unique situation. I really like kids with Down syndrome. That's actually the rotation that I'm on right now, which is very weird. But ER is probably what I'll end up going into because it's super fun to suture. Are the interviews as scary as they seem? And then did you have to trek to the interviews or were they on Zoom? And what were the most asked questions? I was definitely really, really nervous for my interviews, but no, I don't think they were as scary at all. I think for the Arizona ones, I would have had to come in person, but obviously I didn't get one. I had like a Des Moines in Iowa, and that one was just on Zoom, and I hated the Zoom one personally. I didn't like it. It felt impersonal. Like they didn't even have like a one-on-one session. Like it was a group. It was weird. I didn't like it. But then the other two I did were in person. Out of the three, two were in person, one was online. And yeah, definitely it was more scary like going and then like leading up to it. But when you're actually in it, it's not. I think the scariest part is just comparing yourself to everyone and like thinking everything that you're like worried about. But when you're actually in it, it's super personable. Like you're supposed to laugh, you're supposed to like talk with them. Like I'm trying to think of something that like someone I was talking to that wasn't interviewing me, but she was in the faculty was like, oh, I went there for undergrad. Like, do you know this person? So it's like you want to connect with them and even if it's like about something random like dogs or whatever. Yeah, I think you do have to travel though. Like if they do have it in person, you have to go. Are there technically good or bad PA schools? Oh, I love that question. So are there technically good or bad PA schools, or what do you look for when you're finding a good fit? Okay, so there's many opinions on this. There are definitely bad PA schools. I am at one of them. No one told my program that. They know that I feel that way. The thing is, when you are applying, you don't really have a choice. Like it's really hard to pick. And then the problem is you might not get accepted to many. So you can't be picky. But if let's say you are an oddball and you get into more than one or you have multiple interviews, like then yes, be picky. In terms of applying and picking, do not apply to anywhere unaccredited. On probation, that's my number one, 1,010% tip. Some of my videos explain it. It is hard to tell how good a PA school is when you're just looking. So honestly, you can't really figure that out by just looking. You can message people, but they're not going to be as open as I am about, hey, yeah, this sucks, don't go here. Um, you can see on their website like what they offer. I personally don't like bigger classes. I wouldn't be picky when applying, but I didn't like bigger classes. I think smaller classes are better. Um, I don't think you need 3 year programs. Like I thank God I didn't have to interview at a 3 year program. That just I feel like would have sucked. What other really good things? So probationary wise, oh, that's like a very long story, but the reason why I don't say to apply to probationary programs is because they're not telling you the truth about why they're on probation. There's so much more into it about why they are. And there's a lie being told that you will graduate from a probationary program no matter what. That's not true. I started at my university, I was probation, and then halfway through, there was a chance that I wasn't going to graduate. And like they were going to shut down. And we are actually shutting down after my program, thank God. But for an entire year of didactic, I had to go to class every day, like not knowing I was going to graduate. And it was like the worst year. I mean, didactic, worst year of my life on top of that. So people will be like, oh, well, no, you have to graduate either way. It's not true. So I just would never apply. If I had to redo it again, I would never apply to anywhere that was probation because you just take that risk away. In terms of what's the word called? What's a new program? Why am I struggling? A new program, I think it's provisional. Those ones are less likely to have issues, but obviously you're risking a new program. So I don't really know if I would. Like it is kind of tough because they have no idea how they're doing. They have no idea how well they're doing. So PANCE pass rates though for sure. I looked at like I still applied to some that were lower, but yeah, if the place is like less than 95, like you still go there if you get accepted, but in terms of applying, if you're like, I want to give myself the best chance, like less than 90 scares me. I probably wouldn't. Definitely like 95 and up you want. But like at the end of the day, if you get in somewhere that's less, you're gonna just go and you're gonna have to like figure it out yourself. But yeah, you definitely want good passing pants rates because that's like the best factor for you. But at the end of the day, like wherever you get in, you're gonna go. You're gonna be fine, like me. And if you're going to a probationary school and you're accepted, don't worry about it. You can always text me and I'll help you discuss it. Wow, that was like really fast. In terms of undergrad though, like I'm trying to think of other things that I would just be involved as you can. Like at the end of the day, I have no idea what about my application stood out the most, but I definitely feel like getting involved as much as you can is like your best key to like then getting a bigger position, then being club president. Like without starting at the beginning, you're never going to get to the top. So I would definitely just recommend like it sucks and it's so boring sometimes and it takes up so much time, but I would, yeah, you just have to do it. And then in terms of like studying too, I can't remember in undergrad, the Pomodoro technique was like my favorite thing. That and then obviously whiteboards, but like I don't know how people study in their rooms. I can't. I have to go to the library. Trying to think. Does anyone have any questions about like PA school? Like, I'm trying to think. I feel like I just talked so fast. Like, those were good questions. What else? I think they have a payback option. Like if you go to Caspa, I think they have an option to like get your money back for like the first application. So I think you get like $100 back. I didn't know about it, so I missed it, but it like gives you like $100 back for applying. So I mean, it just saves you some money. I think some PA schools have scholarships, but mine, I don't even know. I don't think I cared to worry about it because at the end of the day, it's so much money. But I think some places do have scholarships that they offer. Trying to think of what else. It's actually not that bad. Like this, it's been a rough year for me, but at the end of the day, like it really isn't as bad as it seems. Like I personally feel like undergrad is worse than PA school. And I mean that wholeheartedly because PA school, you're not learning like all of like the nitty gritty biochem. Like it's more just how much information you have to study and how much time you don't have, which in undergrad, it's kind of, I feel like it's opposite. Like you have less classes, but then you just have such stupid info, like so much in-depth information. So undergrad for me was harder. I felt like there was a lot of worse times. Yeah, PA school is not as bad as it sounds, as long as you go to like a good one, I feel like. And like set yourself up for success. Um, I'm trying to think. How many of you guys are like going to PA school this upcoming year? I don't know if anyone will put it in the chat or anything, but 50, there's a lot of you. No one's probably going to tell me they're going. That's okay. Oh, that's a good question. No, I don't think so. Was it patient care experience that you've been working? honestly, okay, there's a lot of people I know that weren't involved at all, and they still got accepted. So it's not bad if you're not. I just think in terms of setting yourself up for success, it's just the best chance. But like there was definitely people I know that are at, I don't know if you guys know of Marquette, like they're at really good PA schools in Wisconsin who were just like EMTs and went to one club meeting. Like it really is like an odds in your favor situation. Like you just have to hope by doing everything that it increases your chance. That's okay. I don't want to stress you out. You're fine. You can always message me too, like if you're um yeah, I don't want to stress you out. Esther, I like your name by the way. How did you handle the burnout in PA school if you did? Um, I don't know. I don't know if I even handled it. I feel like it's just didactic. That's why if you go to a 3-year program, I feel like it's really hard. With didactic, just 2 years, like you're like, okay, like I'm almost there. Like I'm almost to the easier part. So it was like you just didn't even have a chance to burn out. I definitely like there were people in my class in PA school that were super stressed all the time. Even now, I see on their Snapchats, they're studying every single day. I see like they post on their story, they're doing notes every day after clinicals for 5 hours, and they're getting the same score as me, if not 2% higher. And I haven't studied for 3 days yet. Like at the end of the day, what matters in PA school is not your grade, it's that you're passing. Like your grades do not matter. There was, yeah, like your grades do not matter in PA school. It's just that you're passing a certain mark. And that was kind of like my biggest thing is like there are people who do so much and stress themselves out and don't take time for themselves, but they literally don't even do better. So when you look at it like that and you think about it, you're like, okay, you don't need to be doing that much. I promise. Um, so someone asked, what were the aspects of PA school that you were looking for when applying? Um, No, I do get what you're asking. In terms of when I looked, I actually didn't really look into anything like that. The only thing I really looked at was passing PANCE rates, cadaver lab, and then like, was I a good applicant to their ratios? If I were to look back now, I posted a video about this. So my university has like one microwave, like there's not even a lounge for PA students. There's one classroom. We share it with PT. Like it is hard to find this on their website. So what I would recommend to do is like literally like find their Instagram, like find an Instagram for the PA club, for the PA program and message them. Because like when it comes to space, like if I were you guys, I would look at the space. Yeah. So touring campuses, I toured at my interview for the one I'm at, and I knew I was going to go there because it was closer to my parents' house. But for the other universities, if I got accepted, I would have went and toured. If you have the ability to tour before you're even accepted, I would do it. I mean, it's not going to hurt. The space that they offer you is so important. So that's kind of also why my life sucked, is because my university has no space, literally one microwave for like every grad program in the university, one building. Like we didn't have a lot of like actual learning things. So like the clinical stuff. Um, we did have a cadaver lab, which I do recommend you guys look for in your universities, but I'm trying to think of like how to describe what I'm saying you're looking for. Faculty, I feel like faculty and resources like are just a big thing. So what I would do is find their PA Instagram and message them, or like just honestly email the advisor email that's for the program and just ask, like straight up be like, how many breaks do you get? So my university had a 6-week break from didactic to clinical, which at the end of the day, I don't know why we did, because then I feel like I was like stressed for clinical, and then it's like we're delaying our graduation by 6 weeks. Like you could have email, like you literally could just email and ask that. They have to, I don't know why they wouldn't tell you. In terms of like paying for medical devices, like they didn't pay for our medical equipment. It was 1,500. So it's like you can literally ask them that. But what I would tell you to look for is passing PANCE rates, cadaver lab, and like the physical space. Like, do they have a room for you or like a lounge, which sounds like bougie, but at the end of the day, like study space is so important. Do you recommend taking a minor? No, I don't think it matters at all. Like if you have the option at your school to just do like an individual thing, I would just do that, because then you can like fit in the courses for your prereqs like that you need. And it literally does. No one ever talks about your minor. No one talks about your like major. The only thing that people talk about in PA school in terms of like, oh, what'd you do before, is what your job was. Like in class, they'll be like, how many of you guys were in surgery? How many of you guys scrubbed in? And like the people who are always talking are the ER techs, the damn ER techs. Like they're always the favorite. They're always like highly looked upon. And not that CNAs were looked down upon, but it's just like half of them were CNAs, like half of our class was CNAs. So it's like you have nothing to say because everyone was CNA. So I feel like personally, your experience is like the biggest thing in terms of how they view you and look at you. I'm trying to think of like in terms of admissions, like interviewing wise, like just be normal. Like they genuinely like seriously like will talk about you at a round circle. That's what they told us they did. They have like a round circle and they like put your picture out and they're like, how do we feel about this person? How do we feel about that person? So I do feel like it really is like first impressions, like how you talk, how you social you are. So it's not about like how perfect your interview outfit looks. Do you have a notebook with you? Do you not have a notebook with you? Like it's just about how personal you are and like how much of an impression you left on them to go back and be like, she seemed really nice. Like we really connected. Like that stuff is more important than all of like the other things I think that you worry about. Like, is this blazer too, I don't know, do I need to be wearing a suit? Do I need my notebook in front of me? Do I need my computer? Um, yeah, I think that's like last minute tips I could think of. It's less stressful than you think. It's way less stressful if you just think of all of the people interviewing you in PA school as normal people. So yeah, that's my huge rundown. Yes, my TikTok is Bella the PAS if I didn't, as in like the PA student. There's like a lot of videos, so good luck finding them all. But thank you. I feel hopefully that was helpful. I don't want to stress anyone out, but
Yeah, if anyone has any last minute questions, but I think we're kind of wrapping up there.
yeah.
Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
I can attest to her TikTok. That's how I found her. And her TikTok videos are so helpful and so relatable. So I'd highly recommend it as a resource. But thank you so much, Bella, for being here today. This was so
Yeah.
helpful.
Good. I'm glad. Just don't be stressed. I'm sorry if I stressed anyone out. Thank you
No,
for
you
having
were great.
yeah, if you need anything, you can like if you want to email me the questions, I would take me a while, but you recorded it, so you're fine.
Yeah,
That
I can definitely do that.
good. Perfect. All right.
Okay,
Well, thank
well,
you.
I hope have a good night. Thank you so much for being here again.
Yes. Goodbye.
Bye.